Hey, how's it going? This is Kronk, bringing you a plus 10 Mists of Tirna Scithe commentary. This is the first time I've ever done one of these. I've always kind of wanted to do a commentary on some of my Mythic Plus gameplay. Just seemed fun to me, see other YouTubers do it, so figured why not. I don't really do a lot of super high-end keys. I've always gotten my portals and stuff like that, and I just push a little bit further than that until I get bored. Um, so This is a key that I'm super comfortable with just because I played a lot of Mists of Tirna Scythe and Shadowlands like most other people. So this key went really well. Um, as we're going through the key, I'll make some commentary. I might pause here and there, just tell you what I'm doing, tell you what we did wrong, tell you what I did wrong. I'm sure there's gonna be one or two things for that. But yeah, if you see anything that you'd like to say or that I did wrong or that I could have done better, uh, feel free to comment. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, so let's get started. So this first poll, pretty easy poll. I will start and let's go. So I like to pull both of these groups in here. I get these spike claws and I just go into this villager right here. Um, so these spike claws, they have a little aura or a buff on them that can be purged off. Basically, when they die, they put like a little cloud on the ground that like after 2 seconds, if you're in that cloud, you will get a debuff for 10% increased damage taken. So there's 6 of them in this poll. If you stand in all of those, then you're going to have a debuff on you for 60% damage taken, which will suck. So what you can do to get rid of that is you can just purge all of those buffs off of them before they die. A priest is awesome for this. He can mass dispel all of them. A blood elf, their racial also does it too, or at least it did in Shadowlands. I'm not sure if it does now. It should. And then I think purges, shamans have purge. I'm not sure who else nowadays. But I don't think our priest does, or at least he misses them and doesn't get them all, so you'll see him go off. Um, this pull isn't really that scary. I feel like it was harder in Mists. A lot of people used to break up these groups, but it's pretty easy now, I feel like. Just make sure you're kicking these Spirit Bolts. This is kind of a crappy pull with this Villager doing this 6-second stun on you. It's really nice to have, like as a prot paladin, you can help out your group a lot, which I'm obviously not. With I believe spell warding can like immune it for them. If you're a paladin yourself, you can divine shield. Um, any immunity will work for it. Um, it looked like this is the only overgrowth we got, so that's sweet. And it was as the pack was dying, so good uptime on the group where they all had their cooldowns. Um, this pack's not much, not any harder. You've got these soul cleavers, and instead of just harvesters, these guys. Um, they will heal themselves with, I believe they put a buff on themselves, and then they, like their auto attacks will heal them. So the idea is if you want to speed your group up, you get the harvester and the villager down ASAP, and then as a tank you just kite, because your damage is rather insignificant, and it's just going to be offset by them healing themselves. So you just kite around until they're done. Unfortunately, we didn't focus down the villager, so they end up dying around the same time, which isn't a big deal. It's just min maxing some little things here and there that you can do. A couple different ways to skip this next pack, as most people do. Uh, we have 2 ways to do it. We could have done a Mind Soothe from the Priest. We have a Shroud from the Rogue. You can use a Monk with he can paralyze and then ring it away. That one you can use a Hunter to go in first, and then he can feign death after he frost traps. Yeah. Okay, so this group's not too bad. 2 harvesters, 2 soul cleavers, same guys as before. Our priest is being a boss, and he's opening up that stuff for us right now, I think. So that we can just go in and get our buffs before we go into that 2-pack. Right there, I intervene our evoker just to give him a little shield. That mountain thing gets, it's pretty sweet. This is always a nice buff you can get. Back in Shadowlands, you'd have to have a Night Fae to open up these little walls and stuff. Now you just need a druid, a night elf, a tauren, or an herbalist. So yeah, almost I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody like not do that skip at the very beginning ever. So when you're making a group, if you're the if it's your key for a mist, just make sure you get one of those 4 things. and you'll be good to go. I believe the uh, priest is a night elf, so these furious thrashing, you can actually you'll see that spell reflect weak R that I have go off as a warrior. You can spell reflect that. It's the thing still goes on the ground, I believe, but you just are immune to its slow. So it doesn't really do much. You're not like reflecting the damage of that ground thing back onto the mob. You're just kind of getting out of the secondary effect of it. So, I mean, you can. I think I even just instinctively use spell reflect on one of them, but it just doesn't do. It's not that big of a deal. Cool. So that's the 3 or 4 pulls before the first boss. Moving to the first boss. Um, this one's really easy. You just need to make sure that Ingram Malik gets kicked. If you're in a coordinated group, which I'm not, you can, somebody should be calling those out. It's really important to have at least one range kick in here, just because at some point in the fight, Ingram Malik's gonna be in some goop, and if there's no range to kick him while he's casting, then the tank's probably gonna be the safest one to go in there and melee kick him, which is just kind of lame. So thankfully we have an evoker. Yeah, and then as a tank, you want to make sure you're facing the tree guy away because he does a frontal based on where the tank is standing. So uh, you're just taking away some uptime from your DPS if you're pointing it at them, and then they have to move and stop their rotation, which kind of sucks. So as you can see, our DPS are making quick work of this tree. It's only a 10. We're not doing anything super high. Uh, but tree is just about dead. I'm not sure what the percentage is. I guess we can see right now for when he transitions. It's like around 35%, 30% maybe. Yeah, so he's about to break through it. Maybe 25%? 20? Okay, so it's 20%. So just if you've ever ran Mist, you know that everyone lusts at this point. What a lot of people don't do, and they just kind of I don't know what why people don't do this is they don't lust in the few seconds prior to the tree, uh, you know, going over into phase two because like this phase two it is not 40 seconds. It does not take. It is not a 40-second burn. It's like 20 seconds if that. So you can move into phase one faster if you want to. If you want to delay it because of cooldowns, you can do that too, depending on how much coordination you have with your group. But if you want to move into phase one faster, which most people do, so you're not holding cooldowns forever, you can lust like assault like when that tree is at like 35%, and then that last 15% is just going to go faster, and you'll still have lust for the entirety of the burn. And not only that, you're putting lust on CD faster, so that like it'll be up for the second boss or whenever you use it next. So yeah, it's just a better idea to lust, a little bit before he breaks. Anyways, so our lust is even late. There it is. Yeah, we had like a whole second where we didn't have the haste. But yeah, the burn is like 12 seconds. So some people, I guess, it could be beneficial if you're at a low enough key where you're just gonna try to one phase this guy, and like if this was like I don't know, a 7 or an 8 and you got this guy down to 20% and you're just like, okay, let's just keep burning the guy even though he's not taking as much damage now and just try to finish the boss. If you still had lust, like you had leftover lust after that, that would make sense. Um, so you wouldn't pop it beforehand. Yeah. So as a tank, I'm just trying to move away from this goop. You don't need to be moving like all over the place. I see some people in some videos just like, okay, there's goop. Let me go to the entire other side of the arena and like cause a headache for everybody moving and stuff like that. You don't need to use all the space. It's fine. Cool. So we're going into our second phase two. We're gonna finish the boss off, and we'll be good to go. as I am looking at my own UI while I'm not playing, I definitely need to make some adjustments just because stuff is overlapping and it's killing me from an aesthetic standpoint. So hopefully in the next video it won't look like that. Cool. So we're just about to finish off this first boss. Uh, this is such a fun boss if you have like if you're a DPS class. I used to play DPS exclusively before I started playing tank this season. Uh, like I remember in Shadowlands, you used to playing as an arcane mage and doing these burn phases. It was just a ton of fun getting a crit on your barrage. It's still a ton of fun, I'm sure. So I'm just pinging the graveyard there. Um, the absolute worst thing is when somebody forgets to, you know, activate that graveyard and you're in the mists and somebody dies and they release and then they release back at the start of the dungeon and they don't have a skip to get past that uh, pack that we went past. And now then who the heck knows how you're going to get them back? Somebody would have to run all the way back to this uh, graveyard and then click it and then you have to release again, which would suck. Um, if you have a good amount of coordination with these people in your group, you can have somebody pull through the wall. I believe only certain classes can do that. Pet classes I know can, so warlocks, hunters, DKs to some extent. They can pull through the wall. So I don't know if this guy could have or not. I think you need to use your pet, and Frost doesn't always have their pet. So these packs, these defenders, they will do an expel. They'll basically charge at somebody and do a hefty amount of physical damage. One thing that you can do as a prot warrior, you can intervene them, and then so long as you stay next to them, like that magic shield that you give them from whatchamacallit, it's not going to do much, but you'll intercept it. So I did that. It was kind of a dumb way to do it as I'm saying that now. I just intervened across the goop and took some damage there, I'm sure. So kind of negated whatever I blocked from the evoker. These tenders, pretty much every cast you want to avoid or you want to kick in this. There's not that many casts in the mist area of this dungeon that you can't kick them. This is Necrotic Wake, so all the casts you should be able to kick. This dungeon does kind of suck for melee. Now that I'm thinking about it, like you've got all this goop that you have to deal with on the first boss, throughout the maze part of this dungeon. On the last boss, you've got a bunch of goop that you have to run around. It can kind of suck. So yeah, there's more than one reason why you might want to bring some ranged in this place. Cool. So one thing that a healer can do in here, which I kind of groan when the healer doesn't do this, is they can solve this maze while we are fighting. Their damage is really insignificant, unless they need to do damage to heal, like a Disc Priest or something like that. Although I don't know like how much of that they cannot do while moving around and solving this maze for us. You can save your group a ton of time just by solving the maze while we're fighting, going to the like little corners or whatever, and then just being on standby next to the correct door and opening it for us as soon as this pack is dead, because you can't move until they're dead. That saves so much time. It's ridiculous. Like if he's not doing that for every pack in here, that's like 4 or 5 different rooms that we now have to solve afterwards. So that's like a solid, I don't know, 20 seconds that we have to all go around these little stanchions and stand by them. But look at that. We're ready to go. We solved it. There's also some weak R's that can do it for you. I don't really use them just because I'm not solving them as the tank. I used them when I was DPS, but cool. So these Guardians, this is a pretty scary pull. These pulls with double Guardians can be scary for some tanks. They're not as scary for, um, especially when your trash is absolutely deleting them. These Anima Slashes are what's scary. So again, this is only a 10, but it can, in much higher keys, I'm sure those Anima Slashes are extremely dangerous. I can Spell Reflect one of them. I have some absolutely insane DR cooldowns as a Prot warrior to deal with them pretty effectively. So if you're a tank, just know that you should save something for those Anima Slashes, and if you're a warrior tank specifically, you can Spell Reflect them for a gnarly amount of damage and a large amount of damage mitigating too. So This room with the big guy is always a good opportunity to also pull another group. Um, so like this guy and then those two guys at the beginning of the maze, great opportunity to pull a second group. Um, if you have a pet class in your group, just because this guy is he's so easy by himself. You might as well speed things up. And the more you do during the maze, the less you have to possibly do after the boss. Um, yeah, it's pretty much every single time I don't have somebody pulling through the walls for an extra group. I will have to do some amount of percent after the last boss, or before, if you want to do that. But here's our first death. Thankfully, only one of the few during this run. Uh, yeah, you gotta watch out for that tongue lashing. It'll schwack you. Even as a tank, you can move out of it. So no reason to get hit by it. Here's another guardian group. Um, yeah, there's a spell reflect. Thankfully, I hit it. Uh, it's very nice. I had shield wall up for the second one. Spell reflected the first. Good value. Um, yeah, having a range kick can be super helpful with this group. There's 3 casters in this group, 2 of them really, that have pretty important kicks. And if they're in the goop, they decide to cast while you're moving them out of the goop. It just kind of sucks. Yeah, Nourish the Forest, I believe, is a heal. Bramblethorpe Coat. Uh, can't remember where that guy is. They're just bad, so. Yeah, the Expel is really something you want to. If you're a DPS, if you're getting. Especially the Expel, if you're getting targeted by the Expel, you need to be popping a defensive, so. While we're looking at this affix, whatever they want to call it. I don't even know what that affix is called. The weekly affix with Xalatath. This one specifically this week, you can do pretty well with as a Prot warrior with Shockwave. It's pretty useful. I'm not sure if I got there in time for that with that intervene. Cool. So we're just moving through the maze. I believe this is the last group. It's another double guardian group. So I have all my defensives up. I have spell reflect. I get the first one. Second one, I don't have anything up for it, so I should have popped my shield wall there. If I wasn't, there's a third ammo slash. I had my shield wall up for that, thankfully. Uh, if I had just taken all of those natty on a higher key, even at this key, that would have been pretty dangerous. I've got demo shout rolling for that one and for this one. I have spell reflect up again for the next one. Yeah, you make pretty quick work of those as a prot warrior, and just by default, there it is again, bam. By default, as a prot warrior, you take so little damage. It's amazing. This is my first tank that I've actually really tanked with seriously. Done like high keys and gotten KSH with it, and it's been such a good starter tank. If you are like a historical DPS like I was, and you want to do tank to get into faster keys, which is exactly the reason I started tanking, give Prot Warrior a look at. It sounded so boring to me, but I've never played Warrior before, and Prot Warrior just always looked so boring. But I will say, Mountain Thane with its gameplay loop of Thunderclap, uh, just giving you CDR on your demo shout. Uh, okay, and we're back. My mic and my headset just died in the middle of recording this, so hopefully it makes it all the way through. Uh, yeah, like I was saying, the Prot Warrior has been a lot of fun. Anyways, we are halfway through this first boss. Very easy boss. The main thing as a tank, you got to do patty cake. A couple times I have fat fingered my interrupt, and I have not had it for patty cake, and yeah, it hurts. I believe it stuns you as a tank, and then the guy just starts going for somebody else. We have a couple different ways we could have dealt with this Volpira dude, this little fox chasing people. I think we could have. Well, I don't know if the Evoker's talented into his CC, but yeah, that guy's annoying. If you have, it's kind of nice if you are a class with CC. Maybe just try to spec into it for this guy, just because it helps with the Volpira little fox dude. I used to have a lot of trouble quickly analyzing which clone is the one you need to kill in this part of this boss back in Shadowlands. So now I just kind of use like a process of elimination. I go with circles first. So like the circles that go around the symbols, I feel like those are the most prominent things you see that are over the head of those guys. So I look for those first. So like, is there three of them? No. Is there one of them? No. And then I move on to, is it um like faded or not? So like the ones that are like fully colored in versus the ones that are like only outlined. So I look for like, is there three of the faded ones? No. Is there only one of the faded ones? No. And then I look for, at last, I look for either leaf or clover. Um, but yeah, that like process of elimination in my brain has helped me pretty quickly identify which is the bad guy. There's still a couple times where I'll look at them and I'll just be like duh, and I'll just have a complete brain melt and I won't uh, really know, and I'm just hoping somebody else will figure it out because my smooth brain is having some trouble. Cool. So second boss dead. We still have 12 minutes left to go. Easy time. We've got one death. Um, my next pull, I think I need to revise it. It is super inefficient, but in a pug, I'm just kind of afraid, like with people kicking and stuff. Like, I remember, so before I talk anymore, basically what I do is I grab this guy, this 3-pack, and then I'll go down this little ramp and I'll grab the 4 guys to the right, the pat of 2 little bees that are running around, and then the group to the left. So it's like 12 or 14 mobs in the next pull. Granted, like 5 or 6 of them die instantly. Um, but it's a lot of mobs, and there's a couple you have to kick, like a couple staghorns and stuff. And I remember doing that in so many pugs in Shadowlands, that same pull, and people would just die left and right. And I don't have a ton of faith in the WoW community's pug community, so it is what it is. This is definitely the safer way to do it. Uh, I do these 3 guys first. Once I start going into 11s and 12s, I'm just going to have to trust them that they're going to start kicking and using defensives and stuff like that. And I'll pull these 3 guys down the ramp and do them with that big pull. So that'll be a big one. I usually ping right here just to tell people this is roughly where it's all coming back to. DPS and healers should understand that this is going to be a big pull and they should just kind of wait. If people start just blasting while you're getting these guys together, well, they just sign their own death warrant. So don't feel too bad about that. At the same time, I usually, when I do a big pull like this, I still, like, I understand, like, maybe one of my thunderclaps didn't hit, and I will do my AoE taunt. The name of the game here is just to watch your feet. There's a bunch of, the slope of the ground can make the circles around people a little bit difficult to see. As you can see, like this guy right next to me, you can't see the edges of the circle perfectly. So you just got to be careful. You just got to be moving, watch your feet. It's hard for DPS that are like planter casters that just like their entire rotation is casting and it's not instant cast stuff. So it sucks, but you just got to watch your feet. Cool. So yeah, those guys were still running around. I usually get them with the other group just to help make make it more efficient. I feel like. But if they don't pad around until this group, I just take them with this group. So I could see my healer is getting low there, so I give him an intervene to give him a magic shield. That magic shield's no joke, man. It like completely negates the first one of the mechanics for the first boss of Necrotic Wake. It's awesome. So if you are a Prot warrior playing Mountain Thane, if you don't have intervene key bound in some way, shape, or fashion, you need to get on that. Cool, so this guy's dead. I will do a 2-pull here. This 2-pull has always felt super tame to me. There's none of those there's none of those casters. So just a lot of my physical damage. I've got everything rolling pretty easy. There's something that I can spell reflect. It's not super. It's not like those anima slashes in the mist or the maze rather. Our DK goes down. Not sure from what. I think he may have stood in the goop. Cool. So unfortunately, this brings us like 1% or less from completely finishing our percentage. So we got to get percent at the end, but that's no big deal. When you have like if you have like less than like 2 or 3%, uh, and you're going into this boss, it's better just to do it after, because if you just do it after, the key will end as soon as you get 100%, and you won't have to do the entire pack. Whereas if you did it right now before the boss, you'd have to do the entire pack, and you would just have inefficient count. Um, yeah, so this boss is another boss, like many out there, that you can really benefit from having a well-coordinated group. Ideally, you have everybody stacked on the tank, and you all agree to go in one direction when the goop spawns at your feet. Like everyone rotates left, so that you can consolidate all the goop on the ground, and it's not just everywhere like it is now. And then, you know, same thing for the. Well, I guess I can choose that as a warrior, but if you have a different tank, like the the mind link, you could have like the tank go right and everybody else go left. So yeah, coordinating with the group here can be, I mean, it's essential at a higher key just because the fight lasts for so long, um, that like you're gonna run out of room if you don't do it. Another benefit is these little larva guys. They will just come straight to you if everybody is stacked. Yeah, there you've seen for the second time my cheese is a prot warrior. It's great. You can just jump away for every single mind link, and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that fell at our feet, and it's just all over the place. So it is what it is. Like I said, it's just a 10. Getting into 11s and 12s, we will probably have to at least establish the rotation, and like everyone needs to acknowledge that you need to stack on the tank during this. There's a mind link. I just, bam, all done. This is the hardest part. Healers need to definitely save their healing cooldowns for this. This consumption, it's just a bunch of AoE damage that goes out. I was trying to make my way back to the boss, and if I had like heroic leap to use, I could have gotten back there, but better to just not take any damage at that point than try to do my minuscule amount of tank damage. Yeah, so not sure if it's people's DBM or if it's my big wigs or little wigs that marks people with skull, but that's nice to see when when they're the one that's focused by these little guys. Kind of just helps. Okay, I need to, as the tank, I need to go over there and I'll just hang out by that guy, and when the little guys come to me, I'll um, try to grab aggro on them. You can taunt them. Their aggro table is super weird. Like I don't know. I've taunted them sometimes, and like it seems like it doesn't work, but like they're, yeah. So look, I taunted that guy, and he's still going for the other guy. It's weird. Cool. So we have less than a percent. We just need to kill one or two of these larva guys, and we'll be good to go. So, bam, that's it. So, very successful run. We had over 4 minutes 20 seconds left. Yeah, that's it. I believe that's where it cuts off. So, cool. I really appreciate it if you watched this video with me and listened to my voice just ramble on and on. Sorry that my mic ran out of battery in the middle of that. That's something I'll have to fix next time. If you liked this content, I would very much appreciate it if you like and subscribe. I'm not trying to monetize this channel or anything. I'm just, some dad in his 30s that's trying to play WoW and make fun of it. But it's kind of cool when people view your stuff and comment on your crap. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time. Take it easy.